One desperate leap to the moon decides if a frozen civilization lives or dies forever. If you are not caught up with the latest events in this survival saga, consider this your official warning to turn back now because we are dealing with massive revelations that change everything. For those still here, let us talk about the state of the world. After years of rebuilding humanity from literal stone, Senku and his crew are no longer just focused on basic survival. They are now in the middle of a race for the stars. The goal is to reach the moon to understand the phenomenon that froze the world in the first place. But the path is littered with failures and political landmines. Everything is on the line, and the science team is pushing past human limits to construct the impossible. We are breaking down how the mission forced them to confront not just the laws of physics, but the very nature of human ambition and the cost of saving a dying world through pure ingenuity. Okay, so the mission plan was always insane, but seeing it come together is another level of grit. Senku is not just building a rocket. He is dragging a Stone Age civilization into the space age in a heartbeat. Every single part of this craft requires resources that were lost to history, so the team has to mine, refine, and reinvent entire industries just to produce a single valve or heat shield. But here is the thing, they do not have the luxury of time. Every resource spent on the moon mission is one taken away from stabilizing their local society, and the internal tension is starting to boil over. You have laborers who have been working themselves to the bone for years finally, starting to question if reaching the moon is actually worth the starving bellies and the exhaustion. It is a brilliant look at how scientific progress requires more than just blueprints. It requires the absolute, unwavering buy-in of an entire population that is terrified of the future. What nobody sees coming is the psychological weight of the goal itself. They are not just going to space for the thrill of it. They are chasing a ghost that took away everyone they ever knew. As they get closer to the launch date, the team unearths clues about the original petrification event that make the threat feel personal. It turns out the phenomenon was not just a random act of nature, it was a message, or perhaps a weapon from something that is not human. Realizing that there is a target on their backs makes the race for the moon feel less like an adventure and more like a desperate attempt to get to the truth before that truth comes back to finish the job. Every piece of data they decrypt sends a chill down their spines, transforming their scientific wonder into a grim, cold necessity that keeps them awake long after the fires have burned low in the camp. But here's the catch. As the technology reaches for the moon, the social structure back on Earth begins to fracture under the pressure. Senku has to decide who gets to be part of the mission and who has to stay behind, knowing full well that whoever stays behind might be the ones to face whatever comes next. It is not just about competence anymore. It is about who has the mental fortitude to handle the possibility that they are truly alone in the universe. We see characters who were once perfectly aligned suddenly split on the ethics of the project. Is it right to risk everything on a gamble when there are still people on the ground suffering? This moral dilemma turns the final preparations into a pressure cooker, as characters have to choose between their loyalty to Senku and their own personal sense of duty to the people they lead in the settlements. Then, right when you think they have finally hit their stride, tragedy strikes. The project suffers a catastrophic setback that forces them to restart years of development in a matter of weeks. It is devastating to watch them lose so much progress. But this is the moment where Senku really earns his stripes as a leader. He does not panic, he pivots. He forces the team to reconsider their entire methodology, leading them to a more efficient, albeit much riskier, path forward. This loss is not just about hardware. It is about the morale of the entire kingdom of science. They have to confront the reality that they are pushing the boundaries of what humans can actually survive, and a few of them start to wonder if they have become so obsessed with the destination that they have forgotten how to keep their people alive. It is a brutal, grounded turn that reminds us that progress in this series is never free or simple. Soon after that, external threats start to emerge that have nothing to do with the mission and everything to do with the power vacuum they have created. Other remnants of humanity are watching the kingdom of science with suspicious eyes, realizing that if Senku reaches the moon, he becomes the undisputed king of the new world. This leads to back-channel negotiations, sabotage attempts, and a tense game of cat and mouse as the science team tries to complete their work without sparking an all-out war with their neighbors. It adds this incredible layer of power struggle where Senku is trying to solve the riddle of the stars while simultaneously playing defense against greedy opportunists who want to steal the rocket for themselves. It makes the final countdown feel like an impossibly narrow window of safety, where one wrong move could see the entire project hijacked by someone who does not care about the truth of the petrification. Before he can even react to the growing external threats, the launch window arrives. The atmosphere is thick with a mixture of terror and exhilaration. We are watching people who were effectively living in the Stone Age just a few years ago prepare to board a vehicle that represents the absolute peak of human achievement. The sheer scale of what they have accomplished hits the viewer here. It is the culmination of every scrap of metal they scavenged, every piece of science they painstakingly relearned, and every sacrifice they made to get this far. The final checks, the last-minute modifications, and the quiet goodbyes before they climb into the cockpit, it all feels earned. This is not just a rocket launch. It is the absolute final stand of the kingdom of science, and everything hinges on whether this fragile, hand-built vessel can survive the crushing, relentless forces of gravity. And here is where it gets interesting for the next stage of the journey. As they break through the atmosphere, we realize that reaching the moon is only the beginning of a much larger, darker mystery. The world they left behind is still fragile, and the world they are heading toward is completely unknown. We are left on a cliffhanger that questions everything we thought we knew about their enemy. Did they find what they were looking for, or did they just alert an ancient power to their position? Senku has always been the smartest guy in the room, but for the first time, he looks genuinely shaken by the possibility that his science might be completely insufficient against what is waiting for him out there in the dark. The season closes not with a sense of triumph, but with a lingering, heavy tension that demands we keep watching to see if humanity survives the encounter against such impossible odds. Thanks for catching up on the science mission with me today. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see how the Kingdom of Science handles what comes next. I will see you in the next recap.